More questions than answers with a new injury development. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Cardinals Daily. I'm Eddie Law. Hit that sub, hit that bell, send that like, and let's get right to it. Unfortunately, pretty bad news for the Arizona Cardinals and Trey Benson. Big setback, obviously, for the team. Second-year running back Trey Benson placed on IR, unfortunately. That means he'll be sidelined for at least the next 4 weeks. And then for a team already thin at running back, pretty major blow. Let's talk about what this means for Benson, what it means for the offense, and where the Cardinals go from here. So Benson came into the season with real promise, right? Second-year running back out of Florida State. He was drafted to be part of the long-term answer at running back. So especially with James Conner's health always being a concern, it was nice to have a young guy who showed flashes of that speed and power that he's. And honestly, the whole idea between him and James Conner was, if you guys remember those USC teams where they had Lindale White and Reggie Bush, right? That was thunder and lightning. Like literally, that's what they called themselves, thunder and lightning, because it was one was a heavy hitter and one was a speedster. Obviously, you guys know which is which. Now with both young guys, consistency was still developing with Trey Benson, obviously. So fans are excited to see what he could bring to the offense as the year's been going on. Now the momentum gets stalled. This injury piles into what's already been a tough year for the Cardinals rushing attack. Conner's already out for the year. Michael Carter's been elevated. Dearness Johnson was signed to the practice squad, but none of these guys truly replaced what Benson brought, right? Youth, upside, potential, big play, waiting to happen, stuff like that. So now Arizona sits near the bottom of the league in rushing efficiency, which we've struggled, to hit the explosive runs and to hit, score touchdowns on the ground, and it's been really hard to come by. So losing Benson just makes that problem even harder to solve. So what happens next? Michael Carter's going to get more touches. Dearness Johnson could get a chance to get a role, in the running back trio between Carter, Amari DeMercado, and possibly Brevin Knight. And we may even see Drew Petzing do something he hasn't done forever. Actually change something and use Kyler's legs even more to create rushing yards. Who knows? Drew Petzing he's just a problem, but we'll see. Maybe this will force him to evolve and actually adapt and change things up. So make no mistake. This is going to be a patchwork approach. The Cardinals drafted Benson for a reason. He was supposed to be part of the foundation. Now, what Arizona does in the next few weeks will tell us a lot. Do they roll with what they have? Do they look at better free agent, like I talked about last episode with Ezekiel Elliott? Leonard Fournette's still out there. I'm not sure if he's even willing, wanting to play, but if he is, not a bad idea. Or do we get do we even go with the practice squad poach from another team? It's a storyline worth watching for sure, and needing to watch, of course. So from Benson's perspective, not the end of the world. Plenty of young guys hit bumps early, and IR just means time to recover and reset. So he'll get the chance to come back later this year or next and continue developing his role. But for a Cardinals team trying to stay competitive in 2025, it's very frustrating. And because the development was one of the silver linings we were watching very closely this year, especially with James Conner unfortunately getting injured, for being out for the season, the silver lining was to see what we got with Benson. So now he has to IR. Arizona has to figure out how to make the run game work without him. It's a test for Petzing's offense. It's a test with the depth chart. It's another reminder that this team can't catch a break in the backfield. Jesus. The hope now is that Benson bounces back healthy and they're ready to deliver on the promise that made him such a high draft pick last year. Word is that he had surgery to repair a meniscus injury. I don't think they use the word tear, but it was a meniscus. It was a surgery on his meniscus. So the timetable is between 4 and 6 weeks out. So I guess we'll see what happens. So what do we do meanwhile? Benson's out on IR. Is Michael Carter going to start? He might be, right? Come Sunday morning, or at least he alluded to that today or yesterday. Sorry, yesterday on Wednesday when we were speaking in the media, he actually said, it went from being the practice squad guy to being the starter. It's like, yo, you're the starter. Someone told you that already? Like, I don't think JG wanted you to put that out there like that. I think he wants the teams to have to figure out who's going to be starting. So I guess now they know. So with Benson now on IR and Conner already out for the season, the Cardinals might be turning to Michael Carter as their lead back this week, heading into week 5. Carter's quietly been working his way up from the practice squad. This could be his chance to grab a hold of the starting job. Remember, Carter was a 4th-round pick by the Jets in 2021 and had a solid rookie season, over 600 rushing yards, nearly 300 receiving. He's an impact back at 5'8", about 200 pounds, but he runs hard, catches passes out of the backfield, and he's shown he can handle volume and stretches. So since landing in Arizona, I think 2 years ago, he's been mostly a depth piece, but now with the backfield depleted, his versatility might make him the next man up. Carter isn't the bruiser that Conner is, but he does bring the quickness and the ability to help Kyler in the short pass game, right? That's something that this offense has lacked anyway. So easy completions and yards after the catch out of the backfield. Petzing's going to have to lean into Carter's skill set if it's true that he's starting, and you can see how he sparks an offense that's been inconsistent on the ground. This might be, again, like a blessing in disguise to lose our 2 starters and have to force Drew Petzing to change his offense. It might be what was needed, because this guy's not listening to anybody apparently, and clearly not listening to the public, right? And JG keeps standing up for him for whatever reason. So, plus we're going against the Titans. The team has been soft against the run this season. The opportunity is there for Carter to establish himself and make some big plays. So the big question is durability. Can Connor handle 15 to 20 touches a game, or even 15 to 20, 30 to 40 snaps a game, depending on how often our offense is on the field, to work those passes out of the backfield? So, or are we going to have a committee approach with Johnson, DeMarcado, and Carter? Either way, Week 5 is going to be a chance for Carter to prove he's worth more than just a fill-in. If he delivers, could lock himself in a starter for the foreseeable future, at least until Benson gets back. For a Cardinals backfield that's been hit hard by injuries, yeah, Mike Carter's time might be now. It's weird to think about that, because he's been a depth piece the entire time he's been here. He played a little bit here and there. He had a couple good plays and all that. For the most part, he's been the practice squad guy. So now he might even be the starter. So now, what do we do? What should we do? What should we look at, right? Let's dream a little bit. Just dream just a little bit. What if the Arizona Cardinals made a blockbuster move for somebody that no one's talking about trading? I take it back. I'm sure someone's talking about trading, right? Or for him. But what if we actually sacked up and made a move? Like a real, we're going for it, at least to try and make the playoffs this year type of move. I think it's there. I think the Cardinals can make a blockbuster move for New York Jets running back Breece Hall. It sounds bold. Maybe realistic, right? But hear me out. Cardinals' run game is broken right now. I'm just repeating myself at this point. We're missing everybody. Carter might be the guy that has to start, carry the load, and he's never proven he can sustain that long term. So if Arizona wants to compete and not just survive this season, a trade for Hall could change everything, right? Let's be real. Cardinals' running game is nowhere near what it was last year. Dropped from 7th to near the bottom. Explosive runs are non-existent. Rushing touchdowns, scraping the bottom of the league. And I think we only have 1 through 4 weeks or something like that, some embarrassing stat. The injuries have left this team scrambling. And Benson was supposed to be the future. Connor was the anchor, and now they're both gone. Right now, the Cardinals, we're relying on short-term fixes, right? It's not sustainable. If you want to spark the offense, you need a difference maker, and Breece Hall is exactly that. Hall's one of the most talented young running backs in the NFL. He's explosive, he's powerful, he's dynamic. And as a pass catcher, since entering the league, he's averaging over 5 yards per carry, elite efficiency. And we've seen him take over games by himself, both on the running and catching. Imagine plugging Hall into Petzing's offense. Kyler finally has a legitimate dual threat weapon in the backfield, which takes pressure off passing game and makes play action lethal. So you have Marvin Harrison Jr. Emerging on the outside. Crazy touchdown last week against the Seahawks in the fourth quarter to score, his first touchdown, I think, of the year, maybe second. And I think it's the second. But confidence is going to be coming back up. Trey McBride at tight end still, and Hall in the backfield. Suddenly, defenses have to respect every blade of grass. You have to watch every weapon we have. That balance transforms the Cardinals from predictable to dangerous. So, why would the Jets move him? Simple. They're in quarterback purgatory. If Aaron Rodgers left, okay, they got Fields, right? They got Fields at quarterback. And he's young, makes mistakes. He has some plays, he's had some decent stats this year, right? He's already gotten hurt. And it's something that maybe they need to start thinking maybe we need to figure this out. Maybe Fields is not the guy. Maybe we need to hit the reset button. Maybe we need to start rebuild again. Hall, in my mind, is their most valuable trade chip. If the Jets can flip him for draft capital, say second rounder and a mid-round sweetener, it gives them the ammunition to chase their next quarterback solution or at least rebuild the roster. For Arizona, it's about investing in a player who's still young, still affordable. I think his last year on his rookie deal this year, and who fits the timeline. So by the time Benson returns healthy and develops, you have a 1-2 punch in the backfield for years, right? And it might be the answer, because if you guys saw what happened to James Conner, that might be it for very minimum for him being an effective starter. And the worst part would be if his career had to end because of it. That was a nasty, nasty injury. I don't know if something can come back from. He already came. He came back. I think he beat cancer. He beat a bunch of other stuff. So, hey, I don't doubt James Conner, but that was bad. So, This move wouldn't just be about this year. It'd be about the future, right? Breece Hall's the kind of playmaker that changes how offense's game plan. He'd give Kyler consistency behind him, open passing lanes from the open lanes for the passing game. Jeez, I can't talk today. And provide a foundation for physical balanced offense. So, for a franchise trying to change its character under Jonathan Gannon, trading for Hall sends a message. This team isn't content in rebuilding forever. They're ready to take swings. We're not the LA Clippers anymore. So, I know I took a zinger on that one. So, should the Cardinals actually, trade for Breece Hall? Yeah, I think they should. It won't be cheap, but elite talent never is, right? And if Arizona truly wants to compete in the NFC sooner rather than later, adding Hall will give us one of the league's most exciting young cores. Murray, Harrison Jr., McBride, and Breece Hall. That's a future right there with investing in. So we'll have to wait and see what Monty Osborne does, whether they looks at him, whether the Jets even entertain a trade. Again, they got Fields, and Fields hasn't looked terrible, right? But he gives you the feeling he's not the answer at quarterback over there, and it might be time for them to start working on putting together draft picks, putting together capital, whatever you need to do to make a run at. Geez, they'd be dumb as hell if they drafted Arch Manning. I have not seen a more overrated quarterback in a long time. If people want to talk about Shedeur Sanders, I'd rather have Shedeur, personally. But either way, that's something we can talk about next show. Shedeur Sanders, with the Browns making a move for Dylan Gabriel starting. That's just weird. All right, no comments today. Actually, apologies for that. I said I was going to do it today. I'm actually going to start making those comments a segment once a week. Just pile them all up so we can have a good 5, 6, 7 minutes of comment talk and all that. So expect it for tomorrow's Friday show, and it'll be a fun time for sure. Meanwhile, make sure you follow here on the socials. X is at Cardinals Daily 1, on Instagram at Ela52. That's going to do it for this episode of Cardinals Daily. I'm Eddie Law. Don't forget to hit that sub, hit that bell, hit that like, send that comment. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, never forget, we got just a couple more days till game day, and a lot to figure out, and a lot to be excited for, and a lot to be a little worried about. So we'll talk about some more tomorrow. Y'all have a good one. Go Cardinals.